Hey guys, thanks for coming. Do me a favor this time. Hit the subscribe button and make a comment for me if you don't mind. I got one subscriber. I need more than one subscriber. So if you guys could do me that huge favor, I'd really appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot, guys. So today we're gonna talk about being the hammer today. So it's the inverse of what we discussed yesterday, and it's those days where you feel like you're just smashing everybody. You know, you feel real good. You know, and on those days, it's important to give it everything you got, and to really push yourself on those days, because those days are far and few between, you know. Today I had one of those days, but it was only because I was training with a lot of blue belts and white belts today. The two black belts that were in the class today were much bigger than me, and it wouldn't have been a hammer day for me if I would have rolled with those guys today. So you know, you want to keep those things in mind, and if you get the opportunity to be the hammer, you know, definitely take full advantage of it, you know. But always keep in mind, we want to do it with respect to our partners, you know. If I'm rolling and I'm a brown belt, if I'm rolling with a white belt and a blue belt, of course I'm not gonna I'm gonna push myself. I'm gonna push myself hard, and I'm gonna push them real hard, right? And on those days, I'm gonna be pushing myself to practice mostly technique. You know, those are the opportunities where you have the opportunity to move and work your technique, and you're not smashed on your side the whole time. And a lot of those times I use that time to practice whatever the technique was in the class that day. So if we were working arm bars in class, I want to try to hit that arm bar just like we hit it in technique that day, because I have a partner whose skills are less than mine, whose technique is less than mine, and it'll give me the opportunity to have a little bit of wiggle room to try to work whatever technique it is that we did in class today. And so that's what I was doing today, was just working those techniques that we were taught in class, and I was looking for those opportunities where I could execute on those techniques. The good thing about being the hammer too is that, you know, you can take some breaks in between, and you can really get an opportunity to think about what you're doing. You know, I like to think about what I'm doing. If I can get to a place where I can pin my partner, and then in my head I'm thinking about the different opportunities I have from there to really execute on a technique that I'm thinking of, you know. So it's really about what position I'm in, what opportunities I have, and if I can pin my partner and take a break and think logically, okay, he's not moving, I'm comfortable, I have time to breathe, take a breath, slow down. Where am I? Where am I? And what do I have from here? What does he have from here? You know, what can he do to me from here? What are my weakness points, and what are my strengths? You know, a lot of times when you're working a technique, you may have to give up a position even, right? So if I'm rolling into a triangle choke from mount, I'm giving up the mount to go to my back to try to finish a triangle, right? So how confident am I in where I'm at to be able to do that? You know, the thing about this sport is you're always measuring where you're at and where you want to go, and you're taking informed decision making to its highest level with your body as well, because you're going to want to try to avoid injuries on your body. You're going to want to try to avoid injuring your partner's body, right? And a lot of times that comes with time, you know. The funniest thing for me is a lot of times white belts will come in. It'll be, let's say for example, I noticed that it's a lot of times it's big white belts, and they'll be like, hey, just let me know if I'm spazzing, you know, like I don't want to be that spazzy white belt, blah blah blah. 2 seconds later they're spazzing out, man. They're spazzing out, and they already know. They just said, you know, check me if I'm being a spaz, you know. And it's like, dude, you know what's going on here. Why don't you use your noodle a little bit and slow down, right? And the reason they know is because somebody's probably already told them, right? Or they've watched videos and they know they're a spaz, right? And I've gotten injured a lot from spazzy white belts that are bigger than me. So for me personally, when I'm working with somebody, if I'm working with a white belt that I've never worked with before, a lot of times I want them to be smaller than me, preferably a lot smaller than me. That way, if they're jumping around, they're spazzing around, they're throwing knees and stuff, I can typically handle it, If a guy's 300 pounds and he's spazzing out on me, well, I'm a victim to his weight a lot of the times. So whatever his weight dictates, unfortunately, is going to dictate where I go. If he's big enough, and if he, if my technique isn't on point, so I try to stay on point when I'm working with a bigger white belt, and I prefer to work with smaller ones because I'm not going to spaz out on them. And if they spaz out on me, usually I can subdue them pretty well, and again, that's part of being the hammer. If you're gonna be the hammer on a white belt or whoever it may be, even on any partner, consider whether or not you're injuring the guy. Man, so many times I've seen dudes come in as a white belt and they just get annihilated, and they bruise their rib, they mess up their wrist, their ankle gets popped, their knee gets popped. Guys, we have to protect our partners. These are our play toys. These are our partners in crime. Like, you ruin all your partners, you ruin all your toys, there's nothing left to play with, and they're not going to come back. Your school's not going to grow. You're not going to get better yourself because you're not going to have people to work with. So it's so important just to be mindful of your partner as well. And if your partner doesn't feel the same way, well, then it's time to say goodbye. It's time to gracefully bow out and gracefully refuse to roll with that person going forward. Respectfully. You can either explain to them why, or you don't have to explain to them anything. There's some times where I've just refused to roll with guys after they've done things that I disagree with, and they just keep asking me to roll and asking me to roll, and I keep saying no, and I keep saying no, and I know they know I'm saying no, and I know they know that I'm refusing their roll, and sometimes it's awkward. Sometimes you don't want to ask, hey, why don't you want to roll with me? And it's like, well, dude, last time you popped my knee, I'm not trying to win ADCC Worlds. If you look at Craig Jones talks about this a lot when he goes and visits other schools, and he'll roll with the people at the school. He'll do a seminar, and then afterwards he'll roll with people, and he calls them seminar snipers, right? And those are the guys that want to make their bones off of submitting you. It's like, dude, like, I'll tap. I really don't care, bro. I'll tap to white belts, I'll tap to blue belts, I'll tap to black belts, I'll tap to whoever, and but I'll also tap you, and I'll tap you in a way that's not going to hurt you, but sometimes I want to get after it and I want to tap you, but I try to do it with all due respect, and it should be pretty obvious to most people, where that line is, right? If you've done this for long enough, by the time you get to blue belt, you should know what's up, right? You should know what's going on in the gym and how to be respectful to your partners. Sometimes there's those black belts in your gym that will just be the gym enforcer who will, if you want to be that guy, then they'll be that guy to you, and we'll see who likes it more, and respects to those dudes, and respect to you too, man, if that's what you want to do, but the biggest thing about being a hammer for me, man, is just enjoying your rolls, enjoying a day where you come out with the confidence. It's a confidence builder. It feels good. You had a good day, and then tomorrow you're the nail and you don't feel so great, right? So you want to have confidence in yourself, because that carries over to when you have those rolls with the black belts. You don't want to just crumble or just secede to the black belts. They feel it, they know it, and they want better of you as well. They want you to succeed as well. So a lot of that is going to come from success, and success is going to come from being the hammer that day. And don't be afraid to be it. And I'm just reaching out to you guys to let you know that it's okay to have good days and bad days, and it's normal. It's completely normal. All right. So just keep a few of those things in mind when you're rolling with your partners and you're having a good time out there on the mats. All right, guys? So again, do me a favor, hit subscribe, give me a like, Give me a comment. Give me anything that you find time for. All right, guys. We're gonna come with these videos. Hopefully, I'm gonna try to do them 5 days a week, but we'll see. You know how it goes. All right, guys. So thank you, and we'll be back tomorrow.